Today, I am going to be telling you everything you need to know in order to be able to write your very first screenplay. If this is something that you are into, then stick around. Let's figure this out. Hello and welcome to this channel. On this channel, we take the big Hollywood ideas and we transpose them into smaller ideas so that you, the African filmmaker or the indie filmmaker across any part of the world, can implement in your works. Today, we are talking about screenplay or generally scripts. Now, we are going to be talking about the story structure, the software, and formatting, and as well as equip you with any other necessary information that you need to write your very first script. Now, let's go straight into the topic. The first thing you need to know in order to be able to write a very good script or in order to be able to write a very compelling screenplay is to watch other screenplays or to have had any foreknowledge of a screenplay before. What do I mean by this? Now, you should have made some ton of research. You should have at least seen how a script looks like before you even start to write a script or before you even approach writing a script. Now, this could include probably just researching online and trying to find existing scripts or just trying to find scripts from any other productions that you can find. By having the foreknowledge of how scripts looks like, it already puts you ahead in order to be able to write your very first script. Now, the next point we are going to be talking about is, again, having foreknowledge of what you are coming to write about. Now, the biggest fear for every screenwriter is just being confronted with the blank screen. Now, this can be so intimidating, and trust me, a lot of people have abandoned their projects just by looking at the blank page. So what I would advise is that just even before you start writing your script, make sure you have the story at the back of your mind. That is having, just a rough estimation of what you are coming to write about. Now, this doesn't have to just be the whole complete idea. All you need is just good ideas to start with. Probably what is the film going to be about and who is it going to be about, or what is going to happen in the film. Before you at least come to write, you have to at least have some of these ideas at the back of your mind. A general rule of thumb, or how I approach this, is to already have some points that I have already jotted down in my jotter, or probably had written it somewhere before I even approach the computer to start editing. Now, that naturally leads us to the next point, which is deciding on which screenplay software you want to use. Now, I wouldn't go too much details into this because I have another video on this channel where I go into details as to some of the available free softwares out there that you can use in order to be able to write your script, or that will help you write your very first script. Choosing this software is the next step, because the softwares are going to help you in order to be able to put this together to form a very nice, compelling piece. Now, the advantages of using, a dedicated screenwriting software over just using normal Word or any other Word formatting software to write is that with the screenwriting softwares, you don't have to struggle with the formatting. Now, what is the script formatting? The script formatting here is the way that you write the script. The font sizes, where the various placements of the elements. So as you can see on your screen right now, I have a sample of a screenplay, and how the formatting is done is you start by writing the scene heading at the top left corner of the screen. Then you either indicate INT, which stands for interior. So if your scene is being staged in a room or within an interior place, then you actually use INT, which is short form for interior. Then straight away you move to where the scene is taking place. That is the particular location. So in this instance, you can have like EXT compound house, all right? Or you can have EXT probably forest. Then the next point is to put a dash, then also indicate the time of filming, which is day or night. Now guys, don't go fancy with this. I know you pick certain scripts. Some people would like to tell you, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and all those crazy stuff. Just stick to day or night. If a scene is taking place within the day, just indicate it as day. And if it is happening within the night, just indicate it at night. Just keep it simple, guys. Don't go overboard by putting mid-morning and all those stuff. This is important because when you are able to sell your script, or you are finally able to pitch it and it's ready to be shot, during the shooting, the production crew or your director doesn't have that time or doesn't have that luxury of time in order to be able to sit till midday or mid-morning scene or whatever. You leave all those nitty-gritties or those little details for the production designers to be able to decode, or the director to be able to decode all that and look at which way he wants to go with the film. So remember to just keep it simple. Again, a quick recap of this, because this is so important. You either use EXT for exterior or you use INT for interior. Then after that, you put your location or where the scene is taking place. After that, you put a dash, then you put the day or the time of filming. And so guys, this is so important that you know this as part of the formatting of a screenplay. So the other parts of this whole formatting is, the whole script has to be written in a Courier font. And like I said, all of this is already pre-made or already pre-built into screenplay software. So this becomes so easy to be able to work with such softwares, because you don't have to worry about all this. Most of this formatting is taken care of. All you need to do is just to tell the software what you are writing at a particular time, and it will place it at that particular position for you. Now, the next point in this particular one is the descriptions or the point of action or the action that is particularly taking place. So right beneath the scene heading, you can write probably Kojo is walking, or maybe Ama is cooking, or something is happening within this particular side. So you write it there. And please, with this particular description too, guys, or this particular action, don't go too fancy with this. Keep it simple, because most often than not, it's so irritating. And what gives you away mostly as a beginner when someone picks your script is by adding unnecessary details to your script. For example, someone is writing a script and he says, it's a beautiful afternoon, Kojo is walking, and a gentleman rides a motorbike across the frame. And Kojo continues, so the question is, does the motorbike add anything to the story? All right, so if the motorbike doesn't add anything to the story, then there is no need writing that particular thing in your description or your action or tagline. Leave all those things for the production designers and the directors to decide once your script is ready to be shot. All right, so don't go fancy with all those little details that might not be necessary for the script. Now, there are exceptions. For example, the example we just used, if the motorbike at one point of the story, probably the motor is used as something to commit a crime or something, or probably the person riding the motorbike has a relevance in the story, then why not? You can have it. But if the motorbike doesn't have any relevance to the story, then please don't add it once you're writing your action or that particular kind of tagline. Right after the action, we also have the character name. Now, character names are usually written in block letters or caps. So the whole name is supposed to be in capital letters. Then after that, what follows next, and this is supposed to be centered in the middle of the screen. Then right after that, we have the dialogue or whatever that the character is saying. So apart from what the character is saying, we also have what we call parentheticals, or having stuff in the bracket. And what you put within the parentheticals is a particular emotion that you want the actor to feel, or a particular emotion that you want the actor to physically display for the camera. But guys, don't go overboard with this. Be very careful, because actors can get very mad at you because you are simply telling them what to do. However, actors always want to be able to internalize the lines and kind of understand it and deliver it for you. So don't go overboard with this. As much as possible, put parentheticals, give us an emotion, what the actors are feeling, but not too much. Don't go overboard with this. Keep it very simple and straightforward. And again, guys, another very important point to take note of is the fact that the first time a character is mentioned, or the first time a character's name is introduced in the script, is usually written in capital letters. So whether it is found in the middle of the script, in the beginning, the ending, anytime you are introducing a new character, for example, if this is the first time a character is being mentioned, or his or her name is being mentioned, then what you quickly do is to make sure the person's name is in caps, as you can see in this particular example on your screen. As a general rule of thumb, each scene should be at least 2 pages long. This has been a convention that has been with us for a very long time now. But again, if you are writing a short film or just some few minutes film, this would not obviously apply to you. But as much as possible, if you are writing a feature film, make sure to keep each scene within just 2 pages. If a scene is above 2 pages, then review it very well and try to cut it down, because obviously that means there might be a lot of excesses in there. But like as always, these are just rules, and rules are meant to be broken. You just need to make sure you study it and know how to use it just within your own domain. Apart from all this, the next major point we are going to be talking about is knowing your story structure. Now, what is story structure? Story structure is basically the arrangement of events within the particular story. Usually we have 3-act story structure, which has the beginning, middle, and an end. And so you need to have this at the back of your mind just before you start. How is your film going to start? Or how are you going to expose a problem? That's just in the beginning part. And how is the problem going to get to its peak, which is by the middle? And how is it going to get resolved, which is at the ending? So you need to have knowledge of your story structure even before you start this whole writing process. We have different iterations of this, which is the 5-act story structure and all that. I know this might be complex, and if all this sound a little bit complex to you, let me simplify it by sharing with you this simple analogy or this very simple structure that someone came up with that can help you write your next script. Now, what the person says is that you need to be able to answer these questions. So, once upon a time, there was, then dash. So you need to answer, you need to put something within this dash. Then every day, dash, something happened. So you need to answer that particular one. Then one day, dash. So you need to answer that particular side too. Then because of that, dash. Then finally again, because of that, another dash. Then until finally, dash. And so guys, if you follow this structure very well, you realize that before you even start to write or before you even begin writing, you would have already had more than 50% of your film as complete. Because look at the story structure very well. If I am able to tell you that probably there was this person, every day he did this, and one day because of that, the action led to this, and because of that, it led to another action, and that action, because of that, led to another one, then until finally he died, or until finally something happened. And just within these small sentences, you realize that we have been able to compress a whole film, and we are giving it out to you. And generally, guys, if you are approaching a script, especially when it comes to the action lines or just describing the actions in the scene, approach it like you were talking with a friend, or you are just having a normal conversation with a friend. I'm sure if you watched a film and you are narrating it to a friend of how people went to a bar, you will not say, oh, it's mid-afternoon, so the boys went into the bar attendant was wearing a red shirt, and there was drinks on the table, and people were making noise. All those things are unnecessary. And if you were narrating the script, or if you were narrating this particular film to your friend, you would not add such details. So approach script writing like you are about to narrate the story to someone. And so focus on what is important and leave those that are not important to the discretion of the production designer or the director or those involved to sort it out. Now, the final point on our list, guys, is feedback. Now, guys, this is so important. And what I can say about feedback is right off the bat, don't give the script to your mother or father to read, because trust me, they will not be able to give you frank feedbacks as you might want. And so try as much as possible to give it to friends, or probably you know someone in the industry, or maybe you have this friend somewhere who also has interest in the arts, or probably you just know some people randomly outside that you can just give the script out to them to read and give you feedback. And so guys, this is so important, because at the end of the day, you would be able to know which parts are boring and which parts you need to actually improve on, or which parts you actually need to develop. So that is it for this particular one, guys. So like we do it on this particular Africa Amaze channel, we would have said that we are done with the episode, but just as a general rule of thumb, we are going to put all this knowledge into practice so that you see it being implemented real life. So we are going to use Caltex on our PC to demonstrate this. So if you are ready, let's go straight to Caltex and we put together a script over there. Let's go. All right, guys, so welcome to the second part of this particular tutorial. So we are here with our laptop, and as you can see, we are going to be doing this in Caltex, or some people might call it as self-text. Regardless of how you call it, just feel free. When you first open Celtex, you have all this. They are asking you which type of project you want to create, whether it's a film, it's an audiovisual, it's theater, or it's audio play or storyboard or comic book or novel. These are all the available options for you that you can choose from. But in this case, we are going to be choosing film because we want to actually write a film project. This is a blank page, so we are faced with a blank page right now. This is our scene heading. This is where our scene goes. And how Celtex works is that these are the available things that you can particularly work with, or these are the available formatting structures that are available. So you have scene heading, you have action, you have character, you have dialogue, you have parentheticals, you have transitions, you have shorts, and you have text. So that's the advantage of using, a free software like this, or let me say a dedicated software which is meant to write screenplays, because you don't now have to worry about how to put what at a particular site. Immediately you click any of this, then the software would automatically place it where you want. First thing we are writing in this instance is the heading, scene heading. So let's select scene heading so that the software knows that we are just about to write a scene heading. In this case, I want us to write a short story so that at the end of the day, we will be able to shoot this whole short story together. So it's going to take place in the compound. So let's say EXT, which is for outside. And just after I start typing EXT, we realize that it has already given me the shortcut, so I can just quickly click on it. EXT, which stands for exterior, as we learned earlier. So let's say let's call this compound house. All right, compound house. And remember, we said after this we put a dash, then we put the time of filming. So let's shoot this within the day. So let's say dash, then let's say day. All right. The other thing you need to take very key note of is the fact that the space is in between. So after the house dash, then day, there is also another dash in between. So that is complete, and we have our scene heading. So right after here, we click on enter, and right away you realize that this has automatically changed into action, because the softwares are intelligent, that they know that right after writing your scene heading, then the next thing you are about to do, or you certainly be doing, is writing the action or writing what is going to be taking place in the particular scene. But just in case it misses it, you can also manually come back here and select whatever that you want to write. So there are certain instances, I know this is very rare, but in other exceptional circumstances, probably you just want the scene to just start with the character name and the person begins to talk. So in that way, you can just come and select character, and it goes to where, or it positions it strategically for you to be able to write the name. So in this case, let's leave it on action because we want to write an action. So what I want us to do is let's introduce our characters, and I'm deciding on two names. The first character is going to be called Sam. All right, so again, let's write this in capital letters because this is the first time we are hearing Sam's name. All right, so Sam in caps. Okay, so let's say Sam, and then the next character I am going to be introducing is called Zizou. Zizou, okay? So Zizou, this is the first time we are hearing the name Zizou in the script. So let's write Zizou in caps. And guys, it's a very important point. And one of the very secrets to writing a very compelling screenplay is by selecting names that are strategic to your writing. Because what happens is that the software is going to keep track of every name. Immediately you type in the first letter of the name, then automatically the name will be generated subsequently as we proceed within the script. And so that is why it's important that you make sure most of your characters don't bear similar names, especially names that start with the same letters. So for example, if you realize here we have Sam, which begins with an S, and the other name is Zizou, which starts with a Z, so, or what you call Z. So those are the differences. So as we proceed in the script, anytime we want to type any of these names, immediately I press on the Z key, then automatically it will generate the name Zizou for me, and immediately I press on the S key, the name Sam would also automatically be generated for me. And so this is so important. You need to take very key note of this. So anytime you are naming your characters, just be careful and make sure that you don't give them names that start with the same alphabets. Now that we have their names, let's go ahead to say what they are doing. So I say Sam and Zizou, let's say are stealing glances at each other. Whilst Zizou tries to explain something to Sam. All right, so this is our action, or this is what is going to take place within the scene. So we say Sam and Zizou are stealing glances at each other. Zizou tries to explain something to Sam. So what is this particular thing? So let's go straight. Immediately we click on enter. Then you see it didn't change because it doesn't still know what we want to do at this point. And so manually, you need to tell them that you now want to write the character name. So let's select character, and automatically you realize that the cursor has just jumped to the middle, which is where the name is supposed to be. And this is one of the very important reasons why you should be using a dedicated screenwriting software for your scripts, because this makes it so much easier. You don't have to struggle to know that this has to go to the top right, middle, or maybe lower left, or whatever. So straight away it comes to the middle. And so who is about to talk? So Zizou is about to talk. So let's say Zizou. And even with this one, even without clicking or maybe putting the cap lock on, automatically the software makes everything cap, because you are going to write a name and the names are supposed to be in caps. That is genius on the part of screenwriting software developers. So Zizou. So after Zizou, let's say enter, and automatically it changes to dialogue, because immediately you have a character name. The software knows that the next thing the person say, the next thing is the person would obviously be saying something, which is our dialogue. So what does Zizou say here? So Zizou would say, I didn't do it. All right. He further says, I can't. I can't. All right, so that is what he says. But at this point, how is he saying this? What is the expression on his face at this particular point? And that is where parentheticals come in. So let's say enter, and you see it goes back to character because it was anticipating that the next person would speak. But in this case, we are going to, describe what the person is feeling at that particular point. So let's rather select, parentheticals, and let's say what Zizou is feeling at this point. So we can actually say at this point that Sam has a look of disgust on his face as he listens to Zizou. All right, so basically that is what we've just written. So Zizou says, I didn't do it, I can't. Then we describe what Sam is feeling, and we go ahead to describe the kind of mood that is at that particular scene at that particular time, or during when that line is being delivered. So we say Sam has a look of disgust on his face as he listens to Zizou. All right, so what happens next after here? Let's press enter. And straight away, Zizou still continues to talk, which is still on. That is why this is still on dialogue. So Zizou, what does Zizou say? He says, let's say you can go and ask anyone who was ... so that the line doesn't complete. So what we are going to do next is Sam rudely interrupts at this particular point. So that should be an action. So right after Zizou says here, let's describe what is happening next. So let's say Sam rudely interrupts. Okay, so that's the description of what is going to happen next. So let's press enter on the keyboard. So the next thing we hear is Sam speaking. So let's change this to character. Then we say Sam. So let's enter again. And the next thing is for us to hear what Sam says. So what does Sam say in this particular point? Sam rudely interrupts and says, will you shut up? All right, so let's put a question mark there. Will you shut up? All right, so he continues again. So let's go on enter. We are still on dialogue. All right, so Sam continues again at this point to say another extra thing, which is he says, all right, and don't ever talk about that issue again. So basically that is what Sam says. So what happens next? Zissou would also come in with another tagline or with another dialogue. So let's say enter. So character Zissou. You see, just immediately I clicked on the Z key, you realize that it has generated the name Zissou. So I don't need to type the whole name through again. So all I need to do is just to select Zissou and say enter, and we can type in exactly. So as you can see, automatically this has also changed into dialogue, and so that means I can now type in something that Zissou say at this point. So Zissou will say, but I am totally innocent. All right. So that is what Zissou says at this particular point. So after that, what happens next? So let's say enter, and what happens next is, again, it's going to be an action. So let's select action here, and we say Sam stands up and walks out of the scene whilst Zissou looks on in disbelief. Basically, this is just what we have been able to create. So it's very simple. All you need to do is just to understand the concept. So a quick run through again is, as you can see, we have our scene heading here. We usually have EXT, which stands for exterior, or we have INT, which stands for interior. And the next thing is we have where the scene is taking place. In this particular scene, it's the compound house. Then you have the time of day of filming, whether it's day or night. So in this case, it's supposed to be filmed during daytime, so we have day. Then right just beneath that, we also actually have the description or the action of the scene, and that is what we've written here. And again, the first time we hear the character's name, we write it in caps, or let me say capital letters. So Sam and Zissou here, this is the first time we hear their names, and so they are in capital letters. So if you compare it to this side, you realize that from this side onwards, their names are no more in caps anytime they find their names in the description or action line. But however, if it's just the name, or let me say the name of the character, that one is still supposed to be written in caps. And that is the advantages of even extra using this kind of software to write, because it helps you in giving you the proper formatting. And so that is how we've gone through the whole thing, and it's just a pure repetition throughout the whole time. And if we want to end the scene, we could also add a transition at the end just to show that we've ended. So let's say a transition, and we can say a fade out. And so let's say fade out. Yes, and that is the end of the scene. Now, in some cases, some people will write fade in just before the beginning of the particular scene. But in most cases these days, that is not really necessary, because most people actually use creative transitions to change from one scene to the other instead of relying on fade in and fade outs. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been OBL Junior in Africa Amaze Studio. Guys, if you've gotten a ton of information out of this particular video, kindly click on the like button, and please, if you're new to this channel, kindly click on the subscribe button, because it goes a long way to helping this channel and to help us keep making such awesome and great content for you. If you have any further questions, guys, you can leave them in the comment section below, and I will gladly respond to the messages. Or you can also DM me on Instagram at OBL_Junior, and I will personally respond to all your messages. And again, guys, this video is part of the 3-video series that I am embarking on for the next few weeks. So the next video on this platform is going to be how to shoot a dialogue scene. So we are going to take this particular script that we've just written, and we actually shoot it. Then after that, we are going to create another video where we talk about how to edit a dialogue scene. So the next video, like I said, is going to be how to shoot a dialogue scene, and we are going to be using this particular script and shooting it as a dialogue scene. This episode was kindly supported by Pave Ghana, and like we do it on the Africa Amaze channel, guys, keep practicing filmmaking. Peace out.